Hello. Welcome to Conscious Heart Co-Creation. It's time to become the full potential of our divine selves, creating the world we desire through our thoughts, emotions, and imagination. Hello and welcome. This is Stephanie. Today, my guest is Daniel Flowerdew. Let me tell you a little bit about Daniel. His early life was very much affected by his childhood home being extremely haunted, and the entities were very hostile. Priests, prayer circles, shamans, and even a few witches could not clear the property, and Daniel realized that he had to be the one to clear it. That was when he became involved with Wicca teachings, and he received Laura Lee's Got Ghost book at the age of 13. So he did indeed clear his home and is now a facilitator of Kryahgenetics, working with Laura Lee and others on the HRT, which stands for Hologram Rescue Team. Through his timeline work, he has discovered that he was abducted many times in his life and has served 2 15 and backs, 2 20 years and back, and 1 50-year and back as an agent for the Secret Space Program and Agency. And that's some of what we're going to be talking about today if you have no idea what I just said. But I'm going to end this short bio of a truly amazing life. It's obvious Daniel has been extremely targeted pretty much since birth, which I'm discovering most light beings usually are. But he has overcome to become the most beautiful soul that we're going to be speaking with today. So, hi, Daniel.
Oh, hello, Stephanie. That was so sweet. Oh my gosh. When you told me that you changed up some of my bio and introductory, I was like, oh yeah, this should be nice. And I'm like, oh, I'm sitting over here just like my heart is just so warm fuzzy right now. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank, thank you so much for being here. And I find your story just amazing, and I think you're amazing. And thank you for
Oh,
the
it takes
work
one to
that
know one.
well, thank you for the work that you're doing. And we're going to have, for folks who are familiar with my interview with Laura Lee and Daniel being her cohort, you know we're going to have a lot of fun today in this conversation. So,
Oh,
Daniel,
definitely.
yeah, Daniel, I like to ask all of my guests pretty much. My first question is always, I like to hear people's stories. How are you led? I think we have an idea based on your bio, but how are you led to be doing what you're doing today? And I think we could probably fill a book, but I love to hear people's stories firsthand because we really learn so much more than just whatever questions may ask. So, why don't you tell us a little bit of your story of how you got to be this beautiful soul sitting in front of me?
Oh, thank you. It is quite a long story. I will keep it short here today. The bio really covered it perfectly, really. When I was a young child, around 5 or 6 years old, I always had reoccurring nightmares, for one, and they were way more than just nightmares. Things that a little child should never ever see: dismemberment, cannibalism. There was one dream where I was at my old childhood church, and I had to swim through a pool of body parts to get away from entities. A literal nightmares like you just can't even imagine. I had that one dream at least 15 times,
Oh,
and I've had other dreams on that level of terrifying that kept repeating over and over again. um and at that time I was raised in a very, very Baptist household. Everything was about how God is love unless you're gay or black or Asian. God is love unless you don't fit into his standards, right? um and I remember being a little kid and questioning that and just saying, but if God is love, then why do we treat these other people so terribly? Shouldn't we be an emissary of that love? Shouldn't we be extending a hand? These people are in pain. Shouldn't we be helping? Oh no, God works in mysterious ways. Well, something feels like a little bit of escapism here, but sure, okay. Um, so about the age of 12 is when I left formed religion. I was living in my grandparents' household at the time, and it was severely haunted. We would drive up to the driveway, and we would see eyes staring at us through the windows.
Ooh.
We had nightmares every night. There was one point my mom was levitated above the stairs. My biological father was pushed down the stairs at one point. And he didn't trip. He was extremely healthy. He was a bodybuilder. He was at the gym 3 times a day, 3 hours each. More childhood trauma there. We won't go into all that shit. But, very healthy. And he would say that something just came up behind him and pushed him and no one was there. I had one dream where I woke up standing at my altar table ringing my bell to clear the energy of the space. And I'm not a sleepwalker. When I sleep, I am down. I don't move. I'm out. you know? So a lot of weird shit happened throughout my childhood. Everything from the dreams to the grandparents' home, and like you said in the bio, I had so many people come into the house to try to clear it. I had so many shamans. We had Catholic priests. We had Baptist priests. We had so many people that came in and tried to do it, and none of it worked. None of it worked. Most of it just pissed off the entities. And we had some here that were very, very evil. Our family has ties to masonry. So we had entities from that. Um, my biological father saw it as his obligation to call other churches and tell them why they were wrong. And he ended up pissing off a Luciferian cult out of Hollywood at one point. So we had entities that they conjured and sent to us from that.
Oh,
My childhood was kind of a shit show.
yeah.
you know, a weird shit show.
Weird shit.
It
Yeah.
was the weird shit. It was so bad. At that time, Ronnie Renee Foster and Laura Lee Mistycah were going to do a video. They were going to do shows that were going to be aired on TV. And my situation was so bad that they almost did it. The only reason why they didn't is because they wanted to focus in on homes in Spokane, Washington. And my house was just too far for them. And they both kind of knew that I was supposed to be the one to do it, that it was important for me in my growth and my development to learn the tools and to do it myself. So after a few years, I finally got a hold of the Got Ghost book. So this all started when I was really, really young. So I got my hands on the Got Ghost book, started to make a difference, and eventually I was able to get rid of those entities before I even had the Aulmauracite rocks. Just using the Kryahgenetics eggs, I was able to get rid of these entities. Now, unbeknownst to me at the time, is I was also being abducted. The strange dreams were one thing, right? I had dreams where I was being chased by entities, where I had to play hide and go seek in these old haunted mansions. And I knew in those dreams that if I was caught, I would most likely die. And I would wake up with scratch marks. I would wake up with bruises. I'd wake up with bite marks. Stuff like that was honestly pretty common for me. And then in 2016 or 2017, I was helping out one of my friends. She does big events in the Spokane area. And she's also friends with Laura Lee Mistycah and Ronnie Renee Foster. And they had a booth at this event. So I was helping my friend, getting everyone set up, helping vendors bring in their tables. And that's when I re met Laura Lee. I met her many years prior at a holistic festival, but we only talked for a few seconds. But in 2016, she looked at me and she was like, you know what? You need to have this pendant. So she gifted me one of the Almoracite pendants. And yeah, I'm a rambler. Okay, so bear with me here. That day, I worked a 16-hour shift at my current job. And then I was going to this event to help. So I was exhausted. And I didn't know it, but I was using the energy of the building and all the people there to keep me afloat. And as soon as I put that pendant on, I heard it say, I will get you home safely, but you do not want to be touching everyone's energies here. You're going to be picking up stuff that you're not even aware of. So
Wow.
we'll get you home safely, but you are going to start to crash. So you need to leave now.
Wow.
So I went to my friend. I apologized and I volunteered for the entire day. And she understood. She sent me home. Went home and I crashed. That next day, I got a call from the local massage school saying, hey, not only are you approved for the course, but you now have state funding that will pay for most of it. I've been trying to get in a massage school for years. So I thank these rocks every day. They've really helped me change my life around.
Wow.
Before I had these rocks, I did caregiving, and I was a heavy pot smoker. I was high 24/7 for about 7 years straight. And I always joke with people saying this is the straightest thing I've ever done. So I'm a very proud gay man. I have no problems with that. So it's the straightest thing I've ever done. Was 7 years straight being high 24/7. Um, and now I my life has changed in so many miraculous ways. I honestly can't even say. So really from a young age, I've always been guided towards doing energy work. I've always had these situations that kind of forced me into it. I remember being a kid and I'd be around someone with a broken shoulder and I'd draw a spiral on the shoulder, and all of a sudden their pain was gone. It was all very natural to me.
Yeah.
Um, Part of that is also from the SSP training, and I'm very eager to start talking about the SSP because oh my gosh. Okay, so
We will get
that's
to
the
that.
beginning story. We will. So that's the beginning story. I'll cut it off there because I could continue talking about it. I've experienced so many things growing up. Um,
Well,
but everything just reaffirmed that this is where I'm supposed to be and this is what I can do.
well, what an amazing story. And you're still so young. And I mean, you came into this lifetime, it sounds like very awake, is what I would call it. Very awake. And the dark side was like, whoa, we got to put this one down quick because
Oh yeah,
he's gonna change things. So let's talk about some of
definitely.
yeah, let's talk about some of your work. I forgot to put that in your bio that you are a massage therapist. And on your website, I think everybody knows what a massage therapist is. So we'll just say
Yeah,
you're a massage
yeah.
therapist. And and you also offer energy work and DNFC, which is directional non-force chiropractic, and
Yes.
timeline soul retrieval, and I believe there's quite a few others. And so the first question I'm going to ask, because I never heard of this, is what is DNFC?
So it stands for Directional Non-Force Chiropractic. And in short, it is a chiropractic session that I don't even have to touch you. I've done it for people over the phone. One of the first clients I had was in Norway, and I live in North Idaho, so that's like the other side of the planet, right? And this person had a really bad headache, and I adjusted their atlas axis vertebrae, and I heard a loud, audible pop over the phone, and they couldn't talk for 10 seconds. They were so relaxed, they were just out. So it is a chiropractic adjustment. You can get it done several times a week like you would a regular chiropractor, but it tends to stick longer, and it actually helps to reprogram the body into knowing what is the healthiest structure for it. To whereas chiropractors, they understand the mechanics, but they don't understand the whole holistic side of it.
The energy side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just interestingly enough, this was not planned, but before the interview started and Daniel and I were talking, I believe you did a DNFC on my neck. You said, "What's up with your
Yep.
neck? Let me do an adjustment." So, yeah, I'm feeling good. Thank you for
Good,
that.
good. Oh, you're so welcome.
I'm
You're
like,
so
"Ooh,
welcome.
I'm gonna have you
Uh,
on a bunch." So I
exactly right. It's another technique that I learned from Laura Lee. She taught me how to do the directional non-force, and it's been a life changer. I've had people with broken bones. I've my dog. He's a 10-year-old husky mix. Really bad hips, and he won't be able to walk. And then I'll do a DNF on his back, and all of a sudden he's
So can
running
you
and
so you can
barking.
do it with
So
you can do it remotely with animals as well?
yes, yep,
Ooh, that's good to know.
yep, yeah. I know. Yep, we got to take care of our furry babies.
Yeah. Well, in your energy work, I know you
Yes.
do a ton of stuff. So let's just start with this question. What kind of things can happen in a session, an energy session with you?
Oh gosh, so many things. So a while back, a friend suggested that I go through and write down all of the things that I can do in an energy work session. It ended up being 3 pages long and it was incomplete. So, everything from, we could deal with old childhood traumas. We can balance the body, we can balance the mind, we can help process emotions, getting rid of psychic implants, entities, curses, forced agreements. Literally, not to toot my own horn, but a session with me can really and has changed people's lives. I've had people come to me that haven't laughed in years. And, one of my secret weapons is my laughter, although it's really not secret because I use it all the time. So,
Yes.
you know,
And it's great.
uh,
I love your laugh.
thank you. Thank you. It's very infectious and it is one of my tools. Um, like I said, I've had clients that just couldn't laugh and then they start laughing with me on the phone. And that in and of itself can be life changing.
Yes.
Um, I've helped people with chronic pain that they've had for years, both with the massage and with the energy work. I've helped people to avoid surgeries, and actually like be healthy and happy and avoid surgeries, knowing that they're going to really be okay. Not just trying to avoid surgeries, but really saying, "Oh, I've actually got this."
Yeah. I'm sure it's almost time for you to write a book.
Well, thank you. I get told that a lot, but even ask Laura Lee, she knows I hate writing notes. I am
Oh,
the last person to write anything, but I
well,
have been told that many times, and
yes.
it's slowly happening.
I mean, you're a storyteller, Daniel. I don't know if you know that, but you are a
Well, thank you.
storyteller, if you ask me. I mean, I just met you, but I'm like, oh, you're a great storyteller. So
Oh, thank you, thank
I
you.
guess you really couldn't put that laugh in a book. Ha 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 doesn't work on print quite the same, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But I'm sure, we are very magical beings. I'm sure I could still find a way to imbue that laughter into the book. And honestly, Laura Lee has done that with the Cryogenics 1 and 2 and the Got Ghost book.
Right.
You read through them and you can hear her humor, you can feel it.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
uh,
I've been working my way through both the cryogenic books since I had
uh,
her on. I've been working with the egg and the rocks and sometimes a book I'm like she definitely gets the laughter in there just with language.
she
Who knew
does.
that language could be joy spoke or something? I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It's just even just the way she uses the language makes you laugh. It's funny,
Exactly. It's liberating. It
different.
relieves the tension in the shoulders. It's like, okay, yeah, I know life is, dysfunction junction,
Yeah.
but we've got this.
Yeah.
Now on the books, one thing I do want to say is a lot of people tell me they have a hard time reading them. The two things that I offer them as suggestions is one, have your phone read it for you. If you have it on PDF, you can highlight it and literally have your phone read it to you. So while you're cooking, or it helps some people focus to hear it versus reading it. And then one thing that I did when I first got the books is I would close my eyes and ask the rocks and eggs to lead me to the page with information I needed that day. And I would just open to a random page. I flip flopped throughout those books. I don't know if I've ever actually read them from cover to cover.
Well,
Um, I know I've read everything in them, but
right. Well, that's funny you say that because that's kind of what I'm doing. And it
excellent.
and it's like I read something and I don't directly ask, but I'll read something and the next thing you know, I'm using it. So apparently, but
Excellent.
I mean, I consider them manuals, and that's kind of how the way I've always read manuals. I can't read a manual from beginning to end. It's like I go to what I need and I'm directed. So that makes sense. But that is a
Exactly.
good idea.
And it's fun. It keeps it light.
Yeah.
Instead of it being like, okay, I'm gonna force myself to read chapters 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Nah. That to me, that almost defeats the purpose of the books.
Yeah.
Like it's great, but at the same time, it's like part of those books, part of the revelations that they've given me is to bring in more laughter, bring in more childlike wonder into your day-to-day life. Real life is too serious and it's weird, And we need to have that laughter. We need to have those moments of just a little bit of whimsy here and there, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we had this conversation because I've been like, wonder if that's okay that I'm doing that. In the beginning, I don't anymore.
Definitely.
I was like, I'm just skipping
Definitely.
around. It's like,
Uh,
and if I'm reading something and it uses a term that I don't understand, there's that beautiful little magnifying glass that I can search for that,
yes.
and then I read about that. And so, yeah, that's great. I'm glad that we both agreed with that. So,
Definitely.
yeah. So, well, another one of your services you offer is timeline soul retrieval. Um,
Yes.
I've had a few guests talk about timelines, and I find timelines, pretty interesting and a pretty powerful topic. And soul retrieval is one that has become personally more familiar with me because I'm doing some of that work currently. And so, why don't you tell us what soul retrieval is?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So, long story short, is when you're doing a timeline session, you are literally accessing your quantum field. You are literally accessing all of your timeline, past, present, and future, and even alternate timelines and dimensions that you might not even be aware of that are at play in your current life. Now, one thing that the brain does when it experiences extreme trauma is it will literally wipe itself, right? Also with SSP, they will wipe your memory. Now the thing is even when that memory is wiped, your body still knows that something is not right. Your body still holds on to that memory, but it loses the words for it. It loses the visual. It's like I feel this. I know something's happened, but I don't know what it is. But it hurts, and that hurt can manifest as illness. It can manifest as depression. It can manifest as self-sabotage. It can manifest as so many different negative things. It rarely ever manifests as something that we actually like, right? So with the timeline session, you're literally going back to those memories and you're cleaning them up. You're taking your power back from them. Now, I do it in the way that Laura Lee teaches it, and I absolutely love it. For one, it's extremely effective. It is based off of EMDR, which is a well-known psychological tool that is used for complex PTSD and many other psychological issues.
What did you call it? MDR?
EMDR.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I've heard of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. So one thing I love about the way that Laura Lee does this is you actually learn how to do this yourself, right? So after a couple of sessions, people tend to feel confident enough to use this tool for memories that they know about, especially things that happen in their childhood that they remember and it still causes them stress, or they wake up at night thinking about it. They start using this tool to clean up the memories they know. And as they begin to get more and more proficient at it, they then start to use these tools on their own to clean up memories that have been wiped through SSP, and it gets weird. Sometimes with timeline sessions, since it is a quantum field, you go into places that really don't have a name. You experience and see things that just do not make sense at the time. And that's why it's helpful to have someone like me or Laura Lee or Sienna Leia, or someone who's been through this rodeo a few times. It helps to have someone like us there because things get really, really weird the first couple of timelines. But it's such a phenomenal tool. I've seen people focus in on like lower back pain through their timeline sessions and totally get rid of their back pain. I've seen people focus in on, big ticket items, that science says there is no cure for. And these people are healing themselves using these techniques. So, the body holds it. The body keeps score, right? As a massage therapist, I have a saying: your issues are in your tissues. Either if you know about them or not, they're going to be in there. And you want to get it out of the tissues out of your body to tissues in your hand that you can throw away and have it go to the garbage where all the junk goes, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, so is that
yeah.
how you discovered you were doing timeline work for yourself, and that's when you started remembering your own involvement, I think, in the secret space program, which
Yes.
I've I'm familiar with some people I think you and I have talked about that are really out there about their secret space
Yeah.
program thing. And I've been wanting to have someone on talk about it. And Laura Lee mentioned that you did some work for her implant removal, which was an important thing. She said
Mhm.
there are implants you can't remove yourself. And she
Yep.
said Daniel removed mine, and it was from his SSP training. And I went, Daniel was in the SSP
Yeah.
with you
Many
and her.
times.
And I was, yeah, I had no idea what. And I was like, this light went off, and I was like, hallelujah. I found my SSP person. Yeah, you've been abducted. And well, it says you're an agent. You've been an agent for the secret space program as well as agency, which you're.
Yeah.
So let's just dive into that. What is the secret space program? I mean, what is it?
Okay. So first, what I want to say is there are three main groups, right? You have MK Ultra. That's the base level. That is the mind control. That is the accessing psychic abilities, or opening portals to other dimensions and realities. You have that first layer of MK Ultra, right? Once you have qualified through that, you then go into SSP. That's the next layer up. Um, Now, there are some people who get into SSP that don't have a ton of abilities, but the ones who do are the ones who are used the most, right? Uh, Most people who go through SSP do have some form of hybridization in their body with other ET races, and this increases our ability for telepathy, psychometry, really multiple different types of psych abilities. Because when you're face to face with like a reptilian or some of these other ET races, they are highly telepathic to the point where they would fry the brain of someone who's not a hybrid. And hybrids can really normally only stand in their presence for 9 to 10 minutes before we start to have issues. Yeah, was there something you were going to say
Wow.
there?
Well, yes, I was getting ready to write it down for when you were finished with this part because you just said something pretty big to me, and that is that you're started with MK Ultra and mind control, which I kind of feel like everybody's under mind control, and
100%.
then
Oh,
that
yeah.
usually you're a hybrid. I'm trying to like think about who might be listening that never heard of secret space program and they never heard of
Yeah.
a hybrid. Like, what do you mean a hybrid? And so,
Hmm.
can you elaborate a little bit about
Yes.
that?
Definitely, definitely. So, from my understanding, everyone here on the planet does tend to have some degree of ET DNA. Okay, so this is all very, definitely catch me anytime that you can because, I'm so used to talking about this stuff
Sure,
that
sure.
I do tend to forget the audience, and I do apologize about that.
No,
So,
no, oh
do
no,
please
no,
catch
no.
me anytime you can. I
There's
appreciate it.
nothing to apologize
So,
for. I mean, this is why you're on, and of course this is familiar to you, and
very
and it's
familiar.
not to me. And I'm like, so don't you worry, I'll catch you
And
because I
this
want
is
to
really
know.
out there. Yeah, this is really out there for a lot of people. Okay, so long time ago, there was a group called the Anunnaki. They are ET race. A lot of us, some people have heard of Marduk or, ancient Sumeria. A lot of these Anunnaki became deities throughout the planet, everywhere from Japan to China, Sumeria, Greece. Uh, Ireland has a story of the Tuatha De Danann, and they're considered to be Anunnaki as well. Um, and when the Anunnaki came here, their main goal was to really harvest what we have here. For one, is gold. Any planet that has gold has the ability to have life. Now, their planet was depleted of gold because they misused it, really, to oversimplify it. So when they came here and they saw all of the people here, all the different types of human races, some were quite advanced, some were not. They realized that not only do we have gold, but we still have a strong connection to our creative abilities to be able to actually create energy. Modern day science will tell you that energy cannot be created or destroyed. I'll tell you that's complete bullshit. But anyway, back to the Anunnaki here. So they did genetic experiments on humanity. Part of those experiments was to implant a certain amount of ET DNA, everything from Nagas, which are half snake, half human, to reptilians, Pleiadian DNA, Anunnaki DNA, from Syria, Orion DNA. There's a lot of different ET races out there, and a lot of these star systems will have multiple different races. Another thing that they implanted during that time is the chakra system.
Right. I have had
Um,
someone talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. And I do have a big blog on the chakras. I call it the Chakra Con. One of my friends suggested that, and I fell in love because I love Shaka Khan. I love her music. So, well, I wouldn't say I love it, but I'll sing along and get into it when she plays. Um, so yeah, if anyone wants to learn more about my perspective on chakras, I have that. And I go into a little bit more detail about how the Anunnaki implanted those and why.
Yeah.
Um, so our hybrid DNA, most people have some kind of hybrid DNA. And what that really means is that you're not just a Homo sapien, you're
Right.
not just a human. And these DNA will come with different traits, a certain knowledge of magic, normally, or totally blanking on my words right now, which does show me how important this is.
Well, you
But
said
that,
something about the psychic abilities,
yes,
healing abilities, things like
yes.
that.
Yes. So the humanoid to begin with already had these abilities, right? And the thing about some of these hybrid DNA sequences that have been embedded into the bodies is they do amplify some of those abilities.
Right.
Most HRT are hybrid. Now, I can also go into a whole other category of this about clones. Most of the avatars that we have are clones as well.
I think clones will save for, I think you're going to be coming
Yeah,
back on, but I just wanted
yeah,
to help people understand, which I think I've heard something like 22 hybrid races involved in our DNA, that we have a lot of.
yeah,
So we're really all hybrids,
we are.
but I like what you're saying, that, there's each of us have a certain DNA quality that might be stronger, or that is more forward in our
Geared towards
life.
specific abilities. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. So thank you for going off topic and helping
yeah.
that. So the secret space program takes advantage of any of those.
Yes.
So
And so
when,
does royalty. The people who are in the royal bloodlines have a higher percentage of reptilian DNA, especially, but they
yes.
tend to be a higher percentage of ET DNA.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually had a guest on, Rebecca Barron. I don't know if you're familiar with her, who was satanic ritual abuse survivor with the royal
Oh
family.
gosh.
So she's written a
Yeah.
book on that, and they were pure reptilian. And it was like, what?
It's
Uh,
terrifying.
it
Oh
is
yeah.
terrifying.
The
It's
stuff they do is terrifying to themselves and to other people.
right.
Um, yeah.
So this secret space program, they just come and take us. They just came and
Yes.
took you at a
Yep.
young age. And who
Yep.
are they? Who is this? I mean, who are they?
It's a conglomeration. It's a conglomeration. Some of them are ETs, and a large majority of them, though, are human. Now, one thing that I have noticed by working with other people through the timeline sessions is there are very similar stories that keep popping up, right? It is very common for people to be abducted, getting up to go to the bathroom as a young kid, right? Walking down a dark hallway and then getting abducted there. It's very common. Another common one is portals being opened up. Yeah, I can tell this is important because something is like punching my gut and like, don't you say this. Well, screw you, losers, up yours, losers, down yours, losers, and all your sidelines. I ain't got time for that. We're going to do this.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, definitely. So, another common method that I have seen is, let's say a kid is in a alcoholic, abusive family, they're running into their closet. That's their normal hiding spot. A lot of times, those emotions can be used to create portals. And those portals will literally abduct the physical being. So, I was thinking about it last night, and from my memory, one of the ways that I was abducted was they were these beings. I do believe they were agency. They literally walked through the walls of my house, grabbed my physical body, and made me go through the walls with them. Now, they didn't use any chemicals that I'm aware of. They didn't inject me with anything, but the presence they had was such an extreme terror that I was paralyzed. It's like you're stuck, you can't get out of this, you're too young to fight back, you don't know how to fight back, so here you go. um
Who's the agency? You said they were
so
from the
okay.
agency.
Okay,
Sorry.
yes, yes. No, 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 thank you. So, okay, so back to the system here. You have Montauk, then you have SSP, and then you have agency. Agency is above SSP, and the people who get in the agency always have psychic abilities and very strong abilities. Either if that is the ability to open portals at whim, either if it's the ability to remote view. Generally, people who are in agency have multiple abilities and they're all on fire, right? They're all very active. So agency is, from what I remember and what I've seen, agency does tend to be humans with extremely advanced technology, and they are able to phase through physical objects. They're able to walk through walls. Uh, I've worked with people that they would, and they do tend to look like the Men in Black,
I
right?
was just, oh,
Uh,
that was totally in my head. I kept
yeah,
hearing, they're the men in black. They're the men in
they are.
black. And
They
you
are,
must have
and
heard
it
me.
sounds so cliche because people are like, "Oh, that's a movie." No, no, most movies that we have do actually have a large amount of truth to them.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, they will be in the black and white. They'll have sunglasses. I've worked with people where they're like, I feel this being around me, and they feel physical, but I don't know what they are, how to get rid of them. And here come the rocks and the eggs to rescue. We go and take them out. We take out the portals that got them there, or any sort of transportation devices. Most of their technology that I've seen uses sound and frequency, because everything we have here is energy and vibration. So if you can learn how to manipulate that, you can go anywhere, you could do anything. And the thing is there is no technology that has been created or ever can be created that is more powerful or more accurate than our trained psychic abilities. When we start to access our abilities and we train them, we can do things that they cannot, right?
They being
They being the Dork Lords, the Dark Occultists,
reptilians.
Agency, yeah, reptilians. Most ET races, I would even venture to say all of them have lost all connection to their creative abilities.
Yeah.
They can only twist and warp what has been created. They cannot create on their own. And that is one thing that does tend to set humanity apart from
Right.
really any other race here.
Right. I've
Uh,
talked about that in terms of we are
mhm.
fractals of source, and I've heard we're the only ones really around that are fractals of source, which means we are source, which is
Mhm.
why we're probably so desired and abducted, because
Exactly.
they can't do it, but they can steal us. What was your first memory that, like, when you were like, oh, what's this? And like, did you know what SSP was? Because it seems like most people that I've heard that were in the SSP, it seems some things in common as you're usually taken as a child.
Hmm.
And I find that interesting. The thing that
Yeah.
interested me too when Laura Lee mentioned you was that you were a healer in the SSP, and I had never heard of
Yes.
anybody. Most of them seem to be like soldiers or
Hmm.
whatever. And
Yeah.
although most of them now in their lives are healers, which I find
Exactly.
interesting. So I'm just
Exactly.
curious, like, like what made you go, wait a minute, what's this? What is this? And did you know what SSP was, or you had to figure all that out through your memories?
I actually didn't know what SSP was until I started working with Laura Lee. And then she found this guy named Tony Rodriguez. She did an interview with her and Sienna Leia did this interview with him.
Yeah,
And as I was listening to his video, I would have memories start popping in that were extremely, extremely vivid. And it's like, oh, I guess I've been there. Okay.
Right.
Add
Right.
that to the tab. But I do remember being a young kid and people always saying, oh, you're such an old soul. Oh, how do you know how to do all this? Why are you so good at math and science? How are you so good at learning these extreme concepts? And I would always just be like, I don't know. I guess you're all just dumb. Oh, you know.
That's
Just kidding,
hilarious.
just kidding. But to me, everything was always very natural. Math was natural, science was natural, chemistry was natural. Even in high school, when I was high 24/7, I still was, I think the lowest grade I ever got was a D. And that was literally with absolutely no effort. Most of my grades, I think I graduated with a 3.2 average. I was in some honors courses. Everything was just always so natural and it never made sense as to why. But as I started to delve into more of my SSP memories, I started to realize, oh yeah, I was a medic in SS, on the front lines. I was a medic. We would do very basic tourniquets, and then get people to the med beds. Med bed is just a technology that uses sound, frequency, and vibration to heal the physical body. It's also one of the technologies they use to regress the body when they take you back to the time you were abducted. There's a lot of good information out there about med beds. One thing I always tell everyone is trust your gut. All right. You have a nose to sniff out bullshit and a gut to help guide you with your intuition for a reason. Right.
Yeah.
Even with anything that I say or anything that I do, I always want people to think for themselves. Right.
Yeah.
Because I do have a certain amount of memories back, but it's nowhere compared to like the whole thing. I
No,
do not
no.
have all memories back.
I hear it takes time. I mean, I'm
It
familiar with
does.
Tony Rodriguez, and I actually met him and another SSP person, Drago Reed, who
Yep.
at one of the GSIC conferences, the only one I ever went to.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm just going to out myself here because I'm starting to feel like I was definitely in the SSP. And when you start feeling that,
Yeah.
then everything you just said, like when I was a kid, I came home, my mother was a teacher, and I said, I'm never going to be a teacher. Kids are stupid. They don't even know how to read.
Exactly.
And it's
It's like
like,
they don't even
I
know
don't
how to
know why
read, and
I
you're
knew
like,
how to read at like 4. And,
exactly.
and I remember at the conference, I walked into the coffee shop and I had seen Drago on a show with Laura Eisenhower, and I turned and I was like, "Oh, hey, man!" Like I knew him.
Uh
And the
huh.
conference was actually taking place 5 miles from the neighborhood I grew up in. But it was
Hmm.
so weird how I like knew him. And I was like, it's just because you're close to where you grew up, and he's just reminding you of some of the, your childhood boys that grew up with. But stuff, I mean, I guess what I'm
Not
asking
completely.
you is that, I mean, like I said, I don't think you ever uncover everything, but things like that, it's like, do you run into people? I know you're gonna tell us some more, and I don't want to,
I
but
do run into people. But what happens the most though is that people will come to me for sessions, and then we'll start to realize, oh yeah, you've been through SSB. Oh hey, we've worked together on this and this and this mission, and
ah,
that actually happens pretty regularly. Um, as for out in town, I tend to turn off my abilities as much as I can. For one, your abilities can make you a target, so I tend to shut them off because I already got enough shit to deal with. So,
right.
and ETs and different entities, they do walk among us, and
Sure.
they can sense it and they can see it. So, but yeah, I have met people that I've had memories with. One of them as well helped Laura Lee write her book, and she brought up one of the things that she did through agency, and it just stuck in my head. I saw everything vividly, and I was like, "Oh no, I was there," you know.
Yeah. Wow.
And
Um,
one thing I do tell people is your SSP memories are going to be most likely very traumatic.
yeah.
You know,
Well, that's because, and that was going to
you
be
were
my next
forced.
question. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hey, you weren't there. What are they using us
Hmm.
for mostly?
Everything from sex trade
Yeah.
to for body parts. They also use us for engineers, some for mediation. I do actually have one memory that I got where I was on some planet. I don't know what planet or what solar system, but I was the emissary to this small tribe, and they were deeply connected to the planet. Like if you've seen the movie Pandora, it's very similar to that. They had a very strong connection to the planet, to the plants, the animals, the rocks. They understood each other. And my job was to learn about that connection, learn what resources they had, and eventually those resources and that information was used against them, even though I was told it wouldn't be. And they went through and they massacred that entire village using the information that I gave them. And I went apeshit crazy. I destroyed every person that was in my path. I tore them apart, literally. Some of them I literally tore apart. And it took several of them to finally get me back down. Um, but that scenario in particular, what they ended up doing was they put me in this chamber that blocked my ability to connect with nature. And honestly, throughout this lifetime, I have had terrible seasonal allergies. So that's how I came across this. Actually, I had terrible allergies, and Laura Lee was like, "Oh, have you ever decided to do a timeline on this?" No. Should I? Yeah, I should. I need to. And then this memory came up, and my allergies have been tremendously different since then. Yeah, I still get red eyes and I still have nasal issues, but I can breathe. I can go out and play with the plants and breathe. Before that, I couldn't. Um,
Ugh.
because that technology left a signature on my field to keep me from connecting with the plants and animals to that degree.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
I'm having a hard time not sobbing
yeah.
right now. I'm so sorry that I mean, so basically
Yeah.
they have us do horrible things because we're all over the universe. This whole
Yes.
like, oh no, we don't have UFOs. There's no such thing as ETs. And yet here
Hmm.
they have all of us out there fighting wars and destroying other planets and
Yeah.
stealing this and killing
Stealing
that.
their
And
homes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if this makes you feel better, part of the timeline session, one of the things you do, I call it the karma stop, where
Uh-huh.
you go through and you clean up the trauma from the land and everyone involved, and you give karma to the perpetrators. And you go up the food chain to whoever gave the orders, and to anyone who willingly did it, and then the people who did it unwillingly, you give them their soul pieces back as well. You help them to have a choice again. So even though that whole situation was terrible, and when you do these timelines, I was above the timeline looking down watching it, but I still got smells. I was able to smell certain things. I could smell that land. It was different than anything I've ever experienced here. But when I got to that karma stop, oh, I took my time. I
Yeah.
took my time. I went after every single person I could find. I also located all the people of that village. I helped to get them all egged up, and I apologized to them. That was a part of cleaning it up, and they were so understanding, they were so forgiving. And the last thing that I remember of that karma stop was I sent them to what's called rehab. There's multiple different types of rehab, and that's where we can go when we die. People talk about heaven or hell or purgatory. Those are things that we experience here in the 3D physical reality. Okay. So rehab is really a place that you can go to heal from all your traumas.
Right.
And they went to a very specific rehab, and they loved it there. They felt right at home. I think Laura Lee and I talk about this rehab at one point. It's called the Shaman Realm. All the plants and animals there are alive. It's a really magical place. Time works differently in rehab than it does here. It's a wonderful place. It really is. Some of it's like the cosmic Bahamas, right? No alcohol, right? You get to have a daiquiri. It tastes just like the real thing, but but there's no reason to get drunk there. There's no
Right.
reason to get high or, um, yeah,
That makes sense that a lot of the few that like I said, that I know about that were in SSP are now healers. And
Exactly.
how you just described that, I mean, you have to heal that, but that it's so interesting that I'm out in nature all the time, and the land. I mean, I've just been out because I love trees and I love butterflies and I love birds. But recently, all these places that I go regularly, I'm feeling like the land is holding all these memories of things that have
Yes.
happened there. And I have to tell you, the other day I
Yeah.
was in this spot that I go to regularly, and I just started using the egg to quarantine and bring out some of the, I felt like, trapped souls, that were
Yes.
there. So, I mean,
Oh, very
I'm like,
good.
well, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I was in tears, and I was like, this land it's talking to me now, and it's telling me, please. And just, I'm so grateful that that I had Laura Lee on, and that I've been using her uncorrupted, authentic, original cryogenic egg and the rocks, that I have more coming to if the male stops messing
Yep.
with it.
Yep.
But
And it's cryogenetic.
cryogenetic, what did I say?
Cryogenetic. Yep.
Cryogenetic.
I think you were close to it, but I think I just wanted to enunciate it just a little more
Yeah,
clearly so everyone.
genetics.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
mean, I guess
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. That's lovely. And the
I mean
trees really needed it.
yeah,
They
the
needed it.
trees, oh, they it's just interesting that well, it's not surprising that you're talking and I'm having all this is all very new to me in my life. And that it feels like the more you start healing, the more you start learning, and naturally healing your timeline. I have done some timeline over it. My friend Katie, I did a
Uh-huh.
timeline override where you can go to a part of your timeline and you can override it with a more positive experience. But that's kind of different than what you're talking about. But thank you
Mhm.
for sharing that very tough memory. So, and thank you
Believe it or
for,
not, that is not the worst one I've gotten.
do you want to tell more? Because I think it's
How are we on
important.
time? How
Oh,
are we on time?
we've got we've got time. You can tell another
Okay.
story. How about that?
Okay. Okay. I'll tell one more here. I'm going to share my worst one. Okay. So,
Okay.
viewers, be warned. This, I will tone it down, but this next one is pretty intense. So, I also got this one doing a timeline session. I so recommend people to try these sessions. I will say that I do offer buy two get one half off on these.
Okay.
I firmly believe that people need to learn this technique. It is so helpful, and you do really want the Aulmauracite rocks and the Kryahgenetics eggs to help you with this because it just ups your game and it protects you like nothing else I've ever worked with. And I've done weird shit since I was 12. So,
Yeah, I've worked with a
I've
lot
done
of
so many
tools.
different healing techniques, and yeah, exactly.
These are very
Uh,
powerful.
they're very powerful. I've done the bubble of light. I've done the cosmic. Oh, what did they call it? It was like some sort of God frequency that you had wash over your being, and
Yeah.
I've done so many things, and nothing comes close to working with the rocks and the eggs and my authentic heart core star and soul suma. Nothing has come close to that. So okay, so on this timeline first thing that I did, I forgot what the goal was for that timeline, but I do remember that when I looked at the memory, I started to smell burning flesh. Now, here I am sitting in my room on my bed. It's like 11 o'clock at night. Everyone's asleep. There's nothing going on, but I could smell burning flesh and burning hair. And I was like, oh shit. What am I getting into here? So in this memory, I was looking down and pretty much what happened was I saw this arena, and in front of where I was in this memory, there was a lever. Now, in the arena, I had several comrades there. I had several people I've made friends with, and I was being forced to pull on this lever. And behind the gate was this really scary looking alien. Now, honestly, after I had this memory, I was watching Stranger Things, and then they had a similar scene. Um, I basically started an insurgence. I was in this prison cell, and the people I was there with, we were getting fed very terrible food. It was miserable. It was cold. And we all decided, there's strength in numbers. Let's get together. They have hired us and kept us here for a reason. We have the power to break out. What happened was one of the people overheard it, and our entire operation was screwed from the beginning. And since I was the one that led it, they put everyone else involved in that arena, and they had me pull this lever as punishment for me. And the first thing that they would do is once I pulled this lever, they would incinerate the bodies, because these aliens that they were hiring weren't originally meat eaters, right? They were very terrifying and very hard to kill, but they had to char the bodies just enough to trigger the programming of these ETs. So this wouldn't even kill the people in the arena. This was just to get it started. Um, and then they would release the ET. It went through and pretty much demolished everyone. The next thing I saw in this memory was I was in a cell, and one of the guards came by and said, "Oh, you look so lonely. Here's a friend for you." And let me see if I should share this. Okay, yeah, I can share this. This is probably the most graphic part of this memory. Okay, um, so everyone take a good deep breath. Get inside of the original, authentic, uncompromisable, and true Cryogenetics badass egg right now. Take a few deep breaths, and just remember, this is only part of the story. It does get better. Okay. So what they threw into the cell was a decapitated head of one of the people that was in that arena. And it was someone that I was very close to in this memory. Now, here I am sitting in my bed. I can smell the burnt flesh. I can feel the cold ground. Normally, when you do these timelines, the way that Laura Lee teaches, you're high above looking down, you're watching a movie. But I needed to have this experience to really hit home that it's like, oh, this really did happen. Because otherwise, it's like, did I make all this up? Um, so that was pretty much the end of the insurgents. After that, I was pretty defeated. Um, I always knew that I would get out, but I didn't know how, and I didn't want to put anyone else through that. So I was pretty much just stuck there until, I still don't really know how I got out. Um, I think I was released on a mission, and then from there, I was probably taken to another facility. I'm not completely certain. Um, So now on to the cleanup part, because I need to share this to help lighten the mood again. So during the cleanup step, I went through and I tore apart that facility brick by brick. I made sure that nothing of it stood. And then I went to the ETs, and before I got to this point, I was furious with these aliens. I was blaming them for what happened to my comrades. And then I heard I need to see where they came from. And they came from another planet. It was a very peaceful planet. And these ET were vegetarian. They did not eat meat originally. Originally, they didn't even really eat eggs. They were pretty much vegan. They really just ate plants. So, um, so then I started to feel bad because I was like, gosh, what kind of horrors did they have to go through, to get to this point? To be trained to be killers. These aliens in particular would be used on front lines for certain wars and missions. They were trained to kill, and that was not their original natural programming. So I started cleaning them up, and I found I believe it was a place in rehab that was made specifically for them. And part of their rehab was I made vegetable people. It was like a big snowman made out of like mashed potatoes and carrots and peas, and there was a specific frequency that I put into this food that would help them get back to where they should have been, to get them back to being, because they were very passive creatures to begin with. So it was to get them back to that. And then the eventual goal was that they would be released back to their home planet. And I just remember them looking at me, and it was that kind of look that you get from like a dog, right? Where it's like, oh, I feel loved. I'm happy right now. This is good. I thought I was never going to get out of there, and now I feel safe. You know, um,
Mm,
and then I went to town, and I cleaned up all the souls that were stuck there in that building, and I did what I could to make sure that that facility and other places like it could never be used again.
good.
And then I sprinkled everything with Aurora Light dust before I left, just to make sure that there was a good amount of truth and justice there.
Good.
That was one of the most terrifying memories I've had from SSP. Every part of it I felt, I smelled. I could even taste the food as I was going through the memory of like what they were having us eat. It was extremely vivid, to the point where it's like I really don't feel like the mind could create this.
No.
It was far too vivid. I could feel the scratches on my skin. I could feel where I was, hit in the head with a gun, not with the bullet, but like with the butt of the gun. It was way too vivid.
Well,
And yeah,
that that technology that they use, the age regression and memory wiping, it seems to be, I mean, it's unimaginable, that they have that technology to do
hmm,
that. And then what they do with it, that they do, I mean, just the two stories you've told, and there's thousands of those kind of stories probably. And you're
yeah.
going to be accessing more memories, and it's just, do you do you think, uh, I believe that we're going to, is the SSP still functioning?
Sadly, yes. And since there is time manipulation involved, it's a bit tricky to shut down entirely. But there's people like me out here doing this work, and every time we do anything, we are making their lives miserable.
Okay.
So there will be a time that their operations are completely shut down, but sadly, right now, I'm fairly certain it's still active.
Well, because they have technologies like that. I mean,
Hmm.
can those technologies, like, I'll just use the two that I just mentioned. There's a ton more, I'm sure, of age regression and memory wiping. I mean, when we do defeat them, and maybe I should say you, but I wouldn't mind
Oh
being a
no, it's
part of it.
we,
Yeah.
it's we,
I mean,
it's
do you think,
teamwork. It's
will that
teamwork.
will that kind of technology, can you see some positive use of this, or is that technology going to be like put away, or what do you think?
And the way that it's used currently, no. So with the mind wiping technology, if they can switch that to helping us to regain our memories, that would be very beneficial. Because like I said before, our bodies keep a score. And
Right.
so having, and our bodies are capable of getting those memories back. The timeline is a great way of doing it. The timeline soul retrieval work. That technology I could see being useful in helping people get their memories back and helping them remember who they are. And that I can see. And then as for the age regression, that technology can easily be changed to helping to heal cancer. It can be used to, repair the structures of DNA in the body. It can be used for, helping us to access our abilities. Not only our psychic abilities, but our healing abilities as well. Our abilities to create our reality, to co-create our reality. Um, so yes and no. The way they're being used now definitely needs to stop, but they can be. What's the word where they're changed, right? They can be,
Transformed.
yeah, they can be transformed. They can be turned into something that can be useful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I heard one person say something about they lost a limb and it was regenerated. So
Yeah.
you think, wow. But yeah, it's tricky with that kind of, well, I'm just going to call it power, and who
Yeah.
decides how it's used. And I
Exactly.
like what you just said, that we're co-creators, and if we can stop being effed with, because I'm not
Uh-huh.
saying that word anymore. If we could stop
Good
being
job.
messed with and really allowed to learn who we really are as fractals of source and co-creators with source, we could probably do all that. We have
And
very
more.
powerful technology just as humans, as Homo sapiens, as humans.
Yeah.
So, wow.
We
Thank you.
do. We really do.
We
I
really
do
do.
have a friend when I was in massage school, I knew this guy that he regrew his kidney.
Yeah.
His doctor said it wouldn't be possible. He regrew a functioning kidney. It
Yeah.
wasn't 100%, but it was like 70, I think 70% effective, efficient.
Yeah.
So it did the job.
Well, I totally
And he
believe
did
in
it
that.
on his own with his will and with his imagination. He created it and it came to be.
I totally believe in that. I've had at my age, I've had a few of the standard old people surgeries like knee replacement. And there's a part of me that really regrets that. I'm like, I could have grown that cartilage back. And I went for a very long time before I had the surgery. And the first thing I did when I came out of it is I started crying. I'm like, why did I do that? And everybody was like, "Oh, Stephanie, you were in so much pain. You couldn't walk. You cried all the time." So I definitely agree with
Hmm.
that. I've got no problem imagining that somebody could
Yeah.
grow a kidney or
Yeah.
re, there's stories abound like that. So
Well, and you did what you had to do.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm not
It
gonna. I don't live in regret. I'm
definitely,
just saying, there's part of me
definitely.
that's like, "Dadgummit, I
Hmm.
could have done
Hmm.
that."
I just wanted to say that because a lot of people will hold themselves back from using certain medical technology. And sometimes it is helpful.
Yeah,
When you're in that much pain or something drastic is going on,
yeah,
it's
I,
not a bad thing. And you can claim any metal, you can claim any cadaver, bone, or tissue. You can claim it as yours now.
yeah.
Uh, you
Well,
know, um,
I've had to really face that. I think I have a friend who has a 2.5 month old who was born with a birth defect and has been
yeah,
in the intensive care. And I walked in, I just started crying
yeah,
because there was all this machines and technology. And then I said,
I
Stephanie,
know,
she wouldn't even be here if it weren't for this technology. And
I
so,
know.
and so now I just egg her all the time and help,
Hmm.
do what I can to keep her safe. But in fact, Laura Lee and I were talking about that in terms of the internet. And
Yeah,
like, and now, it can all be corrupted. It's a matter of what you're doing. AI is the same
yeah.
way, you
Oh
know.
yeah, oh
So,
yeah.
well, I thank you for looking at the time because we probably will start. But I do want to ask you one.
Definitely.
I want to say first off, I want to
I
say,
did warn you beforehand. I am a chatter, so.
oh no, I none of this has been chatter, Daniel. This has all been a gift of knowledge and
Oh, thank you.
information, and it's been important. And I've been wanting this to come out and help people understand. Um, like I told you before, I think Laura Lee told me that something like 35% of the world population
Yeah.
has been placed in SSP. That's a lot of
Yes.
people. So that's like
It's a
what,
lot.
like 3 in 10 of us, and it's like as
Yeah.
more and more of us start remembering our memories, that's what's going to change it. But I always
Yes.
like to ask my guests that are involved in this kind of beautiful work, where do you think, I mean, how do you feel about where we are on this planet right now in terms of the bringing in of the light and the increasing the consciousness? And because
Mm.
I laud the golden age, I'm like, we are moving into a new age, and I think that's why
Mhm.
more and more, for me, more and more of this is coming up because the planet is supporting us. It's like, okay, people, you
Mhm.
cannot. The darkness is over. Stop being loose for the dark side. Open up,
Exactly.
and
Hmm.
that's one thing I say every day. I'm like, I'm done being your loosh, MFs,
Yeah,
screw
exactly.
you, screw up
Uh-huh.
you. And it's like,
Uh-huh.
but where I love to get people, I love to get healers like yourself, what are your feelings about that?
Okay, so currently on the planet, there is a lot of fear. There is a lot of fighting, and that is on purpose. It is because we are stepping up our game, because we are choosing sovereignty, because we are choosing how to work together. I feel like, yeah, it's kind of a terrifying time to be here on the planet, sure, but it's also a very beautiful time to be on the planet. There's so much that's happening here right now. And the one thing that I will say is I will encourage everyone to learn whatever techniques you can to unplug, to learn
Yeah.
whatever techniques you can to connect back in with yourself, because that is really one of the most that is one of the things that's going to really change what's happening here on the planet.
Yeah.
Not buying into the games, not buying into the bullshit. I know this is all being done to us on purpose because we have this opportunity to wake up out of it. And the powers that were do not want us to do that. So they're going to throw everything they can at us to try to make us regret waking up. But we're here. And most of us, I get the feeling that just about everyone listening to your podcast, and anyone who's going to listen to this, anyone who's still here after everything I've said, we came here with a purpose. We came here to clean this place up, to make it what it can be, and to make it what it should have been.
Yeah.
And we're doing it. We're doing it with teamwork. There's no one here doing it alone.
Yeah.
And that is one thing I really want to hit home for everyone listening to this. Anyone who's an indigo, anyone who is a part of the HRT or the CCC, the Cosmic Cleanup Crew, one of the ways that we are shut down is by making us feel alone. And granted, there are sadly very few of us out here. There's more and more every day, but we have the internet now. We have access to meeting people all across the world. We are out here. You are not alone. Okay. I want to say that to everyone that's listening. You are not alone. Uh, in Harry Potter, there's this one little scene where Luna's talking to Harry, and she's like, well, of course, Voldemort wants you to feel alone. You're less of a threat when you're alone.
Right.
If you have a lot of people, I mean, that makes you more of a threat. So, of course, he's going to make you feel alone.
Right.
And that is so true. So no matter what goes on the planet, no matter what you guys see, um, keep breathing,
Yeah.
keep breathing, and do it with intention. You
Right.
know, um, we are here to shake the tree.
Right.
And we're gonna get rid of all the bad apples.
Right.
Um,
Yep. And I'll
so
just add to
that's
that,
yeah,
stay off of the news. And
yeah, exactly.
I was at a group, I was with
uh,
a group the other night, and everything they were talking about, I had to ask the person next to me, what is that about? Because I don't listen to it anymore. And everybody thinks
mhm,
that oh, you're living in a fantasy world. It's like, no, I'm living in the real world, because that is all
mhm.
about division. I mean,
It is.
you can just, it becomes so obvious. It's like that was staged to divide you. And
Oh, 100%.
when you really start hearing the crap like what you just talked about, that what they're doing to us and the lies that we've been told, and more
Yeah.
people are like, wait a minute, that's not true. It's like, yeah, so
Uh-huh.
stop listening to it. It's
Exactly.
creating a frequency that feeds it. Stop listening to it, and you are not alone. And on that, I want to remind everybody that on my Conscious Heart Co-Creation website, pretty much the only reason I have it is to put people like Daniel's contact information on. So I'll have his website on there. And so if any of
Oh,
this
thank you.
feels, yeah, oh yeah. And I think a session with him and is, if you're getting feelings
Hmm.
that you're like, uh-oh. So yeah,
Hmm.
that will all be on there. And Daniel, bless your heart, I don't think this is the last time that you and I are going to communicate, whether you're on the show again or not. And perhaps you will be on the show again as
Definitely.
well.
Now, do I have enough time to say one more thing?
Yes,
I'll
we
make it
have
short.
plenty of
Okay.
time.
Okay. So there's one more huge revelation I had a couple of weeks ago that I want to share with everyone.
Okay.
So I was sitting outside, and this was right after someone was assassinated live, and all this division, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I started sitting there, and I was thinking, okay, now I have not seen God as a person since I was very very little. I see it more as a mechanism or an idea, something that we can tap into in ourselves. And when I was a kid, I would tell my family, God is really nothing more than the breath that you breathe, right? So I was thinking about it. I was sitting outside. I was talking with my students. Like, okay, what do I need to know now? How is this changing for me now and for the planet? And what my Summa said, and the Summa is your soul. Some people would call it the higher self. I prefer Summa for multiple reasons. But what my Summa said was change it into an acronym: Gears of Dignity, not divinity, but dignity. And so I started to look at it. And as I was sitting outside, I started to see the birds, saw bees flying from flower to flower doing their thing. And I was like, oh, there's three main gears of dignity. First has to do with nature and the intelligence behind the forces of life and death, the uncorrupted forces of life and death, because, everything's been infiltrated nowadays, but there was an original.
Mhm.
So that is the first gear. So getting out into nature is an awesome way of connecting with that. Sitting with your back towards a tree, hug a tree. I am a tree hugger. I firmly recommend everyone do it. But the first gear is nature. The second gear is authentic omni love. Now, omni love has its own checks and balances. It is not a people pleaser. It is not an enabler in any degree. Authentic omni love holds, when you tap into your authentic omni love, it gives you the opportunity to really be accountable for yourself and let other people be accountable for themselves. You're only really responsible for what you do.
Yeah.
And this gear really creates this amazing synergism in communities. Authentic omni love, when it is activated, it is a frequency that goes through and transmutes crap. And it won't fix everything. People want to say love fixes all. It is a very important part of the structure, but it's not everything. So this authentic omni love is something in your heart core star, and it literally shifts everything around you. And the third gear is the gear of individuality. A lot of people want to say, oh, kill the ego, get rid of all this stuff. No, you're supposed to be an individual. You're here in an individual body for a reason. And when you honor that, you honor other individuals as well. You let people be themselves. You let people make their own stupid decisions, because we all do. I know I do. A lot less now, thankfully, because of the timeline work I've done, and what I've come to understand throughout life. Thankfully, I make less mistakes now, but it still happens. So when you work with these three gears, the gear of nature, the gear of authentic omni love, and the gear of individuality, you step into this immense power. And
Mm.
it's it can be calm, it can be intense, but it's you. You're stepping into more of yourself, more of what you're capable of doing and being. And with the omni love, you're really giving yourself the safety to learn who you are
Yeah.
and to clear off and to remove the things that you were not, that you were forced to believe, the things that you were forced to be.
I love it.
So that would be my last thing that I would really want to leave everyone with here today. I do have some online courses I'm going to be teaching soon on kinesiology. Eventually, I do want to teach people how to do directional non-force chiropractic, and I also want to teach a course on basic energetic hygiene. Right?
Yeah.
We all shower. Well, hopefully, we all shower regularly. But but the energetic hygiene is important too.
Sure. Well,
So
those are great. And those
uh,
are going to all be on your website?
yes, yep. And if
Okay.
people follow my YouTube channel, I will be making videos as I get closer to it.
Okay.
I've already had the syllabus all made for the kinesiology course. It's going to be a ton of fun. Um,
Oh, great.
and yeah, yeah. So, everyone, we've got this. We're
Yeah.
together. We might not all see things the same as each other, and that's fine. Individuality. We're not
Oh
supposed to
my
see things
gosh, we
exactly
can
the
have
same as each
different
other.
oh my gosh, imagine that.
Imagine that.
They've really messed with us on that one. But that was
Exactly,
awesome. I'm
exactly.
so glad you shared your gears. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and it leads people to being authentically kind with each other.
Yeah.
I recommend to everyone to look at the trap of being nice.
Yeah.
It is a trap.
Yeah.
Being kind is much more authentic, and you're finding similarities with others, and you're working with that. You're
Yeah.
not trying to keep the peace. I am not a love and light kind of person. I am a truth, justice, and integrity kind of person.
Ooh, I
And
like
that
that.
does lead to authentic love and authentic lightness of being. But I ain't got time for the spiritual bypassing. I've done that myself for years. I know how elusive it is. I know what it feels like, but I also know how far it can set a person back in their own development. And I just ain't got time for that. So I feel bad for my family, but
Well,
they're fine.
we all learn when, and like
If
we
we're
were
ready.
talking before here, it's like
Yep.
I couldn't have done this any sooner. So, it took me
Exactly.
67 years to get here. So I'm not gonna rush anybody, that's for sure.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Yep. So think about those gears, everyone, because that's also part of the individuality. You know,
yeah,
everyone, if they're going to wake up, they're going to do it in their own timing.
sure.
There are a lot of people who don't. There are a lot of people who will never change. And that is not our responsibility.
No, it isn't. And what a
But a
relief
lot
that
of
is.
us, oh, what a relief. But a lot of us have the abilities to do what you did out in your park, where you're just out there, clearing out the energies and giving love back to the trees and to nature. That is such a phenomenal thing. And that can change the world.
Well, I hope so, but that was really a new experience and I liked it. And um yeah. So,
Definitely. Okay, well, I'll stop talking now. Thank you so much, Stephanie. This has
oh,
been such
Daniel,
an
thank
amazing,
you.
amazing thing. I so appreciate that you reached out to me, and I appreciate being on here.
I
Keep rocking
appreciate
it.
you
Keep doing
being
what you're
here.
doing.
All right, my
Thank you.
friend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great love. Don't forget to hit that follow button. Till next time, peace be with you.